Hi everybody, I want to share some experiences I had building this metal shed 4x7, and apparently all the manufacturers are in China, and they use a similar screws and things like that. So one shed probably is a good explanation for all of them. This shed started with a base. I put a couple 48 by 40 pallets, and then I put some 2x4s on the side, pressure treated 2x4s, and then I put some 2x4s flat this way, and as you can see, I put in some rock and cement blocks to make them even. Then I began building the base on top, and the base was fairly easy to put in. You have to measure diagonally in both ways to make sure that the measurement's the same, so that everything's lined up. The base gets harnessed in from the inside. There are a couple points where you could screw it in, but I wish that there were more. I did end up putting some additional screws on the outside to make sure that it didn't get picked up with the wind. Then I put this panel in that comes around, and then slowly incremented the panels going around. The screws have little plastic washers that come with it. You may want to just spend the time to disassemble all the plastic washers so you don't have to do one by one. The walls fit in very well. There's a plastic film on the sides. I've seen other people where it took them days to get the plastic film off because it peels off very thin. I just left it on there, probably some rust guard too, but I didn't want to spend a whole day doing that. So the part where I had issues where I put the roof on, luckily I gave myself space, because it would have been very hard for me to get behind here if I didn't have enough space to put a ladder. But the idea was to get the lean shed so the water would go away from the house. And we have some holes here, had a couple snakes. I didn't want to create an area that animals could do as they please. The door itself is the last part, so maybe I'll talk about that later, but it did take me a while to figure out. The instructions have virtually no text. They just have diagrams, and they're okay, but it takes you a long time to figure out exactly how to assemble it. Again, the roof had issues. I think one of the panels fell. So once the panel is slightly bent, it'll never line up, no matter what you do. So I do have a little light coming through. The only leaks that I have in the shed is, and I'm surprised that other reviewers haven't said this, but on the side there's a little lip where I've mounted. You can stay up, please. Yeah. A lip where I've mounted here, and I may have to seal with silicone or something, some type of adhesive, because water happens to flow down, and I had a little bit trickle inside, but I just make sure I don't put any cardboard boxes laying on the ground. And the door, if there's a lot of wind, it sort of bangs, so you have to be careful. I may add some type of elastic up here, or a way to actually harness this in. But all in all, it wasn't that difficult to do. You can see inside it's already full. So, but if you're doing a shed, you may want to start with a small one like I did, and then do a bigger one. But it took me I had bad weather, but it took me about a day to do the base correctly. I used I think it's OCV. Basically, it's not the plywood, but it's the man created floors that are a little more weather resistant. But it took me about a day to do the base. It took me the second day I managed to do everything. You do need someone to help you from time to time. They say 2 or 3 people, and other than that, yeah, the sides on the top at the end were a little awkward. But the screws are, someone mentioned on another review, the screws are short, and sometimes it's hard to get them in. So even though I worked with dim light, I suggest that you work with a lot of light so you can actually see and line up those screws. But this is great for storing stuff. And I have a wood shed, but wood shed probably costs 10 times as much as the wood as this one costs, even though the wood one's slightly larger. But yeah, this one was like close to $300, and my wood shed that was pre-assembled was over 4,500, but it's 10 by 12. Anyway, I'm planning on getting a larger shed so I can put some more things and potentially the tractor. I saw someone that had extended the floor to go out further, which probably a great idea because it's hard for me to roll up with something and put it inside because of this ridge here. And if you have a little terrace, you just roll it in once you got it up. But I will create like a little ramp here with some of the extra wood that was cut off and use some of this board. But all in all, a good experience. Economical way to store the endless amount of stuff that I have. And please stay tuned for more reviews.